Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since the last video. Just been super busy with work and just life gets in the way, right? So it takes a little time to get the videos going, but here we are. So as you saw by the title, our 4th gen Camaros and Trans Ams, the best bang for the buck right now in the modern muscle car market. We'll talk more about that. For right now, we're getting ready to head out to a car show. It's just a little Thursday night cruising that they do at a little Wallbangers burger joint. So we're going to head out there and just go check it out, see what shows up. So we're going to take our 1998 Z28 Camaro to the show, and we'll talk a little bit more about why these cars, I believe, in this market are your best bang for the buck. So for safety, we're going to mount you guys on the window with a GoPro. Before I do that, has this ever happened to you guys? Have you guys ever seen this? My GoPro batteries swelled up. And it makes it hard to put them in the GoPro. Actually, they go in, but then it's really hard to get them out. So I'm going to have to go get some new ones down at the Best Buy. But yeah, both of the batteries just swelled up. It looks like just the outer casing, but that's kind of weird. Anyway, let me get you guys up on the windshield for the ride, and we'll get on the road. So after shopping for a good while, looking for Chevelles, Novas, Camaros, anything classic, anything halfway decent, the prices were just outrageous. I just saw a Nova today for $67,000, which was, and it wasn't anything special. It was just a regular Nova, but they wanted $67,000 for it. And the guy said he was firm on the price and don't lowball me. I know what I have and all that good, Facebook marketplace stuff. So I looked around. Chevelles were out of the question. Found a few Chevelles that were in the $70,000 range. And you know what? I said, let me start looking for something that I know. So I started looking for 4th gen, either Trans Ams or Camaros. And what I found was that these cars are still very affordable. The car we are driving today is a 1998 Camaro Z28. The car is built. It has a nice Texas Speed cam in it. It's had some work done to the heads. The engine's been completely resealed. No oil leaks anywhere. The car has a full BMR suspension under it. It's got a BMR K-member, tubular K-member for a turbo, and that's to keep the air conditioning. So all that is important. And then the car also has QA1 coilovers, has QA1 shocks in the back, adjustable. It's a great car. It's a 27-year-old car, by the way, which in the state of Texas, that's considered an antique. That means we could put antique plates on this car. It doesn't have to go through any emissions testing or anything like that. The car does have the LS1 in it, 4L60 transmission. It's got a converter in it, and it's got cold aircon. The AC blows cold. For it being a 27-year-old car, everything works. The gas gauge works. Nothing upsets me more than buying a vintage car or a classic car and the gas gauge doesn't work. In this car, the turn signals work as they should, the headlights work as they should, everything works as it should, right? So for what we paid for this car, and I'll tell you straight up, you just cannot find a better deal. Now, you can find these cars between, for really good examples, you can find them for about $15,000. We didn't pay that for this car, and when it goes up for sale, we're not going to ask that for it. But you can find, if you're looking for a really low mile car, I'm talking 20,000 miles. You can probably pick one up between 20 and 25 in really good condition, you know. And these cars, factory stock, are legit high 12-second cars on a drag pack, you know. This car's probably a little bit faster because of the work that's been done to it. We estimate this car's probably maybe a high 11-second car. And I mean, for a 27-year-old car, that's great, you know. That's just a great deal in my opinion. Another thing that's really great about these cars is the aftermarket. There's a huge aftermarket for these cars. Just about every cam manufacturer makes cams for these cars. And honestly, the prices are great. You know, headers, camshafts, heads, intakes, everything is really, really inexpensive if you want to build one, you know. So it's an affordable car. I mean, if you're young and if you have a job and you want to, get into a hot rod, something that's decently fast that will actually keep up with today's scat packs, like, the 392 scat packs and things like that, these cars will do it, you know. They won't keep up with a Hellcat, but throw a little bit of nitrous on these cars. So I was around, of course, in 1998 when these cars first came out, and I worked at my buddy's speed shop, and we would regularly throw nitrous kits on these cars. Matter of fact, nitrous oxide systems actually made a kit specifically for these cars. It was a dry kit, and it came with 2 solenoids and a nozzle and a bottle and a line. No tuning, no nothing. You could literally bolt one of those kits onto this car, bone stock, and you would run high 11s in the quarter mile. Stock. I'm talking through the manifolds, stock exhaust, stock gears, you know. And again, back in 1998, that was fast. And I'll tell you a story. In 98, I had my Nova. I had a 73 Nova with a 406 small block, 700 R4 nitrous. And the car was decently fast. You know, it was a mid 11, low 11 second car on nitrous, and it was about a mid 12 second car on motor. And the car was a driver. I could drive it anywhere, right, with a 700 R4 overdrive. But I ran up against one of these cars. I ran up against a Trans Am, a red Trans Am. I'll never forget it. And it was a young kid. The car still had paper plates on it. And he was with his girlfriend. And we did a little street hit. And I remember the car was manual because I could see him shifting. And why could I see him shifting? Well, because he was right next to me the entire time. You know, we launched, and I was running my car on an 11-inch slick, you know, and we launched from a street light, and we were pretty much dead even. And the only time he would fall back was between shift points. Whenever he would go to shift, he would fall back a little bit. But other than that, he would keep up with me. And it got to the point where I said, I'm not outrunning this guy. He's there with me, right? And I'm in an old school, 400 small block Nova. And this kid with a car with paper plates is keeping up. And then I just reached for the button, man, for the nitrous button, and I hit it. And of course I immediately pulled away from him. I cheated. But I was very impressed, man, by that car. So much so that here I am all these years later, and I still remember that run. The tuning on these cars was also fairly simple, and it still is. You can literally hook up a laptop to them with any tuning software, and the computers on these cars are wide open. You can go in there and change anything that you want, right? So it's amazing after all these years. Like I said, this is a 98, which was the first year for the F-body 4th gen Camaro and Trans Am. And it's amazing that after all these years, the aftermarket still supports these cars really well, right? Suspension companies offer all kinds of suspension for them. It's a huge aftermarket, and having that makes things cheaper, right? So if you're looking for something and you don't mind driving a Chevy or an old Pontiac, you know, look up one of these cars, man. They're really a good deal. And again, you know, just expect that, you know, they are, you know, the plastic interiors in these cars were not great. You know, the cloth interiors were not great. The leather on the Trans Ams was not great. But, you know, again, it's an old car. So just expect that you're going to have to, you know, do some upgrades or do some cleaning up. But it's worth it, you know. And again, they're so cheap. That's definitely worth it, you know. And again, if you look around really, really good, you can pick one up for $5,000, you know, $6,000, and then just about any good mechanic, any good mechanic can work on them. They're such simple cars to work on. The LS engine, the sensors on these cars were like maybe 4 or 5 sensors on them, knock sensors, you know, TPS, you know, just very, very basic sensors on these cars. They're very analog, I guess I should say. Analog means that they don't have all the stuff that new cars have. You know, all the safety features, right? All the nanny state stuff, right? To keep you from killing yourself, right? So, you know, and not only that, they're not heavy. You know, one of these cars will run you about 3,300, 3,400 pounds, and you can still lighten them up more. This car's probably lighter, being that it's got all tubular everything. Tubular K-member, tubular A-arms, you know, front and back, you know, so this car's probably a little bit lighter than a regular stock car. I'll tell you another story. You know, back in the day, you know, when we were first messing around with these cars, I had a buddy of mine named Angel that had a I believe it was a Trans Am, and he would, you know, we had these heads up races at the racetrack, and he would throw like a 300 shot at one of these engines, and the car would run like low tens, you know, no cam. I mean, they didn't make cams for them back then. No tuning. All we could do was just put Kohler spark plugs in them, right? And that's all we could do, and maybe add a little bit of race fuel, just enough to where it wouldn't mess with the computer, where it wouldn't mess with the O2 sensors. But, you know, and he'd pop the motor, you know, he'd make, you know, 2, 3 hits, 4 hits, whatever. He'd pop the motor, and then he'd run down to the junkyard and buy another one and throw it in. And the next weekend he'd be back out there again. You know, it was hilarious. You know, and you're talking, he's going out there against full-blown race cars. You know, running those kind of numbers was just unheard of. You know, back then we were all still old school. You know, we still were running big blocks and small block Chevys and all that stuff. And here was this guy with a freaking new car, you know, running low tens. Go ahead, guy. I don't know if he was staring at the car or what, but he didn't want to go. So we'll talk more about this when we get back to the shop. Right now, we're about to get to this little car show that we came out to. Let's check out what came out here. I haven't been out here in a while. Sorry guys, it got dark on me. I had a bunch of friends show up, and like I said, I haven't been to one of these shows in a while, so I had a bunch of people that wanted to talk, which is cool, you know. So we're gonna do a nighttime walk around. Check out this one. It's nice and bright red, so it'll come out really nice. Beautiful hot rod. Got a Scat Pack. My buddy's Ellis swapped Trans Am. Got a C8 Corvette. My other buddy's Aqua Blue C10. And then over here it's all dark, so we can't see very well. But there is a Nova over there. My buddy's Gasser Barracuda is over here. There's a Rat Rod, a dually. My buddy's Hemi swapped Hudson, I believe. Check it out. It's got an EFI Hemi, and then Got a Tesla, bunch of C8s. Actually, I'm sorry, C7? Yeah, C7, C6. Yep. All right, it's kind of dark. Check out my buddy Rango's Z28 Camaro, second gen. He put the larger 17-inch wheels that are replicas of the original wheels. This car's really cool. We did, my son did Dakota Digitals in it. Came out really nice. T-tops. If I can find one of these, man, I'd love to have one of these again. I've had a few. Connie's Trans Am. This one is blue. It's like a midnight blue. Almost looks black. Also with the upgraded wheels. Really cool. T-tops also. These are considered second gen F-bodies. We're back from the show, man. Had a great time hanging out with my friends. Unfortunately, lost track of time. I wasn't able to make a daytime walk around to show you guys the hot rods that showed up, but still had a good time. Had some dinner at what's that place called? Wallbangers Burger Bar, and got to hang out with the buddies. So anyway, back on topic. Back on the fourth generation, 1998 specifically, 1998 through 2002 Camaros and Trans Ams. They do make another fourth gen, which is a 1993 through 1997, but those cars were all LT1 engines, right? So those engines were more based on the old school small block Chevy, right? But the only thing is that they had reverse cooling, so the parts don't interchange. And for a distributor, for an ignition system, they had what was called an OptiSpark, and the OptiSpark was mounted way down low by the balancer. And if you hit a rain puddle, you were done. You were done, right? So again, what you want to look for is a 98 through 2002 Camaro and Trans Am that had the aluminum LS1 engine, and they had coil on spark plug ignition system. So they have 8 coil packs, and they have these little short wires that run to the spark plugs, right? These cars make great power. We had a 2000 Trans Am some years back. We dynoed that car. That car made 325 horsepower to the tire. Car was stock. Didn't have headers, didn't have exhaust, didn't have tuning, didn't have anything done to it. And it dynoed 325. That might not seem like a lot in today's standards. For example, my new Raptor is rated at like 500 horsepower, right? But you got to look at it this way. 325 horsepower in a car that weighs 1,000 pounds less than a Hellcat, right? These cars weigh about 3,400 pounds, right? Compared to a Hellcat that makes 700 horsepower that weighs 4,400 pounds. I've owned 2 of them, right? These cars make about 500 horsepower and you're running 11s all day long. You're keeping up with scat packs, for sure. Throw nitrous on them. They love nitrous. Throw nitrous on them, you got a 10-second car, right? On a budget, right? So great cars, don't sleep on them. Just like the Fox body Mustang, which has also started to go way out of people's ranges, man, right out of people's budgets. They're certainly out of my budget. 15, 20 grand, man, for a decent Fox body Mustang nowadays. Even the GTs have gone up. It used to be the coupes were the ones that were low, that were high, and you could still pick up a GT for a good price. But even those nowadays have started to go up, right? So unfortunately, that's just the world we live in.
But these cars, like I said, they're still affordable. You can still find them. Don't sleep on them, because I feel within the next 2-3 years, prices are going to go up on these cars. I really, really do feel that's what's going to happen. You know, if you know, your $5,000 car is going to be a $10,000 car, your $10,000 car is going to be a $15,000 car, and so on and so on and so on. So again, if you're looking for something fun, these cars respond great to drag racing, autocross, you name it, man. There's a lot of things you can do with these cars. Lots of support forums. The biggest one, ls1tech.com on the internet. Huge forum for these cars. And then of course there's plenty of Facebook groups, Instagram groups that you can join. Plenty of clubs. There's at least 2 or 3 clubs in our area specifically for these cars. One of the clubs, South Texas F Bodies, that a buddy of mine owns. That club does a cruise to South Padre Island, which we live near. Every year they do a big cruise to South Padre Island. We get about 100 cars show up. It's a lot of fun. That show is coming up, so I'm going to hang on to this car at least until that day comes. And then, you know, it'll probably go up on the market just like everything else does. But for right now, man, I'm loving it. Took it to the show. Everything works. All the gauges work. 27-year-old car. Everything works. AC blows cold. Car has a lot of power. It'll spin the tires on demand, you know, on a budget. What more could you ask for? All right. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, share the video if you can, and we'll see you guys on the next video.